Hello everyone. In this video, I will talk about Home Sport Worker Immigration Pilot, one of the easiest direct PR option available in 2026. So watch till the very end because I will be covering in detail the eligibility requirement. In eligibility, we will cover about the education, language requirement, experience or training requirement, job offer details, and along the way, I'll talk about the mistakes one should avoid. Then we'll talk about how to apply. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this amazing home sport worker immigration pilot program. So let's look at the overview of this home care worker immigration pilot. First of all, you must plan to work and live in Canada outside of Quebec. So this is very, very important. So this program is not for those who want to settle in Quebec. You must meet specific requirements of the stream. So now this is a very important thing to understand. So there are two streams in this particular program. One is workers in Canada and one is for those outside Canada. And what is the requirement for worker in Canada? One, they must already be living in Canada. So we are here not talking about that they can't go for vacation or something like that. The idea here is that their country of residence should be Canada. And the second important part is that they must be authorized to work in Canada full time in any occupation through a valid work permit or maintained status or through the public policy. So that is very important. Third requirement is related to the language requirements. Then we have education requirements. Then you either have to have a relevant work experience or training. Then there are job offer requirements, and you must be admissible to Canada. What does admissible to Canada basically mean? So admissible means that you don't have some kind of inadmissibility, maybe related to whether it is a medical inadmissibility or it could be a criminal or something else. So we will now talk one by one, starting with the language requirements, the education requirements, work experience, proof of funds, and the job offer and how to apply. Now let's start with basic. What is the language requirement? The language requirement for this particular pilot is CLB level 4 in either English or French. So there are basically three tests for English and two for French. Let me show you what is the language requirement. If you are giving an English exam, so it's just CLB level 4. So means 4 in all the abilities, whether it's reading, writing, listening, or speaking. If it's IELTS general, then CLB 4 is 3.5, 4, 4.5 in listening, and 4. If it's PT core, these are the scores, which starts with 33, 41. So this whole line. If it is TCF, then this one. And if you are giving another French exam, then this one. So these are the language requirements. Now let's look at the education requirement. You must have completed equivalent of a Canadian high school diploma or higher. If you completed your education outside Canada, you will need an education credential assessment done from one of the designated ECA organizations, Education Credential Assessment organizations, such as West Canada, IQS, and many other such organizations. One important thing to remember is, let's say you have done bachelor's from outside Canada. If you want to use your bachelor's, all you have to do is get the Education Credential Assessment done for your bachelor's. Then you do not need to do it for grade 12. So let's now look into the work experience or training. For the eligibility requirement, you do not need to meet both the requirements. Even either of the two would be fine. Either you need to have the work experience, which is 6 months of continuous, full-time, and relevant work experience in the past 3 years, or you need to have a completed a relevant training credential in the past 2 years from the day you submit your application. So either of the two would work. So this is where we will be kind of zooming in, and I will be telling you in details how can you meet the work experience requirement and how can you meet the training requirement. And it will depend upon what kind of pilot you are focusing on. If there is childcare, there are certain requirements. If it's a home sport, then there are different requirements. So let's dive into that part. So let's say you don't have an education. So we are here focusing on the work experience. One of the requirement is you must have at least 6 months of work experience gained within or outside Canada. So this experience doesn't have to be from inside Canada. And the work experience must be in one or both of the knock job categories of the pilot you are applying to. So you have to anyway decide which pilot are you applying to. Are you applying to the childcare one or the home sport worker? If it's the childcare one, then either the experience could be in 44100 with the exception of foster parent because that doesn't count, or it could be ECA. ECE experience doesn't count. They have also mentioned that only experience as an assistant, helper, or worker counts. Experience as an ECE or daycare teacher or in a supervisory or administrative role does not count. Now let's look into the home sport worker. In case of home sport, either your experience can be entirely in the home sport worker caregiver and related occupation knock code, which is 44101, or it could be nurse aid, orderlies, or patient service associates, knock 33102. Even the work experience gained in an institutional setting, such as long-term care, can also be eligible. One very important thing is that you could have a mix of occupations as well. For example, let's say you're focusing on childcare, you need 6 months of experience. You could have 3 months in home sport worker, home. So one important thing to remember is that the 6 months experience has to be continuous, but it also can be mix of two knock codes. For example, for the childcare one, it could be either in 44100 or it could be an ECA, for example. Let's say 3 months somebody works in this and 3 months somebody works in this one. So that would be fine as well. It should match the knock description, include most of the main duties. And this experience must have been gained after you were 18 years of age or older and must have been gained within the 3 years from the day you submit your application. Important thing which I already alluded to, that this experience has to be continuous. There must not be any breaks. Yeah, you could have two different employers. For example, let's say you worked with one employer for 3 months, but on the very next day you started with another employer. That is fine, but there cannot be any breaks and it has to be full time. It cannot be a part-time experience. And this experience must have been gained while you were authorized to work while having a temporary residence status. Even the maintained status can work unless there's some exception. What does not count as a work experience? Any work experience gained when you were a full-time student or self-employed or any period of unemployment or any sickness or long leave, those will not count. Now let's look at the training requirement. So you must have received a credential of relevant training for at least 6 months within or outside Canada. Of course, if you're applying for childcare, the training has to be related to the childcare providers, which could be related to 44100, or it could be related to early childhood assistants, helpers, or workers. It cannot be early childhood educator, so that training will not count, or a daycare teacher training in a supervisory role or an administrative role does not count. And if it's a home sport worker, the training has to be related to the home sport worker, which is generally, we have personal sport worker training, or it could be related to the nurse aid, orderlies, or patient service associates. It should be at a post-secondary level, which means that the high school should be the prerequisite. Must be full-time, at least 15 hours of training per week, and must be primarily in-person classroom environment. So a lot of people, if they are done the program primarily uh, online, so that will not meet the requirement. If the duration of the program is less than 6 months, that does not count. So a lot of people think, oh, you know what, I completed the program in 6 months, but the program was only 4 months in duration. No, that will not work. So there are many kind of nuances in this whole thing, and a lot of people will get this wrong. And this training must have been started when you were 17 years or older and must have been completed within 2 years before you apply. Another important thing is that if this is the training which is outside Canada, you do not need an ECA if you already have an ECA for grade 12. So that is important to understand. Another thing is what does not count as training. So training towards occupation other than listed, training that was done mainly online and on the job training doesn't count. So before I talk about the job offer, I want to mention that if you have any question related to this specific program or any other PR options, or you want to discuss the strategy, you can book a one-on-one consultation with me. The details are in the description. There's a booking link, and there's also a promo code which you can use to reduce the booking amount. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel and do share with someone who will find it useful. So let's get back to it. Now let's dive into the job offer details. Very important to understand is that the job must be in the national occupation classification of the pilot you apply for. So if it's childcare, then the NOC is 44100. The location cannot be institutional setting, such as a daycare. A job as a foster parent also doesn't count. And if it's home sport, then it has to be 44100. Again, the location cannot be an institutional setting such as a nursing home. So just remember, the job as an early childhood educator or assistant or a nurse aide does not count. The job has to be in Canada. It has to be full-time continuous. Full-time means at least 30 hours or more per week. Permanent means there's no set end date. Another important part is the job offer must include the hourly wages, employment requirements, and the description of the main duties. Must be genuine. And another important part is related to the wages. The wage must be equal or higher than the job bank's median wage for the occupation. The only exception is if there is a collective agreement. Collective agreement means like a unionized position. By going into the job bank, you can actually check the wage. What is the median wage for that particular occupation? For example, if it's home health care worker, so you can search that, and then it will tell you the low, median, or high wage for that specific region. For example, if it is, let's say, Ontario and the region is Toronto, then the median wage is $20, right? So which means that the job offer must be for $20 or more. And let's say if it is, let's say, British Columbia and it's uh, Vancouver Island and coastal region, then there the median wage is $22. So the wage must be more than that. If somewhere somebody works in the North Coast and this information is not there, then they should look into the median wage for the province. Now, let's talk about the employer. Who can be the employer? The employer must be either a private household or a business who has a direct employer-employee relationship. So it cannot be a staffing agency. So we'll talk about that. So they should be directly hiring the employee, managing the work conditions, and paying the employee. And some of these could be like home healthcare service provider, direct care agencies, and things like that. One important thing is who cannot be an eligible employer. One is a recruitment or replacement agency. Some people call it staffing agency, an embassy, any employer who is non-compliant. You cannot yourself give the job as well. And this job cannot be from your spouse, common law partner, parent, grandparent, or child. Yes, it can be from relatives, but not from these. Now, let's talk about the how to apply part. If you see here, the way to apply in this particular stream is through the PR portal. If you click on this, so it will take you to the PR portal. So you can create an account and basically start filling the application. Just remember that this particular stream, there's a huge demand. So it got filled on the same day it got open. But we are here talking about what are the typical forms and documents needed. So the way this works is that first you can look at the document checklist. So if you are in this stream, which is Workers in Canada stream, so there is a document checklist. You go there and basically it will tell you how to download and how to use this particular document checklist. And in the portal, there are many forms. So one of them is digital forms, which means that you don't have to upload anything. You will write that into the space available there itself. For example, if it is like IMM008, so there is no physical form. So this is an online form. So you'll type in your name, date of birth, and all the information which is requested. Then there are some PDF forms. So these are the ones which you will have to upload. Then there are some PDF forms which require a signature. For example, the individual employer. If your employer is like a household, then this is the form you will fill. and it has to be signed. If it's a business, then this is the form. And then there's some other document checklist and photo requirements. And you also pay your fee. The way you pay your fee is you click on this particular link, it will take you to the fee page. And from there, you can basically select the right amount and pay the online fees. For example, if you go here, you can select permanent residency, and then they say, are you paying the right of permanent residency fee for an application you already submitted? No, we haven't submitted yet. So you go here, you click on this, and then you can go to and select this one. And obviously you have to select for 2026 when it will come. And then you can basically, you can put the quantity here. Let's say if you are the single person, let's say you are a spouse, you also have a spouse and a child. So you will select this one and this one and this one. And then you also will have to pay the biometric fee for the family. So let's say this, so you will add two, sorry, one of this, and then you will submit, and then it will tell you how much fee has to be paid. So I hope you found this video useful. And if you did, please do share with anyone whom you feel that will find it valuable. And do like and subscribe to the channel. And wish you good luck for this specific program as it opens on March 31st on 2026.